YouTube, Rumble. I'm gonna do a VR. Jeremy, Pork Roll Piper. Country. He said we could go either way about living in the greatest country known to man. I'm proud to be here in America, United States of America. Or we can do one about country. Either way, I'm country. Summer vacations. How did we spend our summer vacations? Well, first I'm gonna let y'all know that right now I am in the location that I grew up in. And when we moved here, way back in 1960, this was pretty rural. It's now grown into a city, and I hate it. And my parents, they came from West Virginia. My mom's parents, they came from Virginia and relocated to West Virginia. But I remember we would go back when I was a wee little boy. We would go back to where my mom's parents were from, and that was Wolftown, Virginia, down near Charlottesville. We'd go visit Uncle Homer and Aunt Ruby. And these folks were country. Their house had no indoor plumbing. Barely had electricity. But they had a farm. They grew corn. They had cows, pigs, chickens, and a lot of property that we could go explore on. And when we go visit Aunt Ruby, her main job was to feed us. Breakfast consisted of ham, bacon, sausage, some kind of beef, everything they grew and raised on that farm was on that table for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. By the time we finished breakfast and cleared the plates and everything, she was starting on lunch and supper. We call it supper. We didn't call it dinner. We called it supper. I remember one time we were down there and she told Uncle Homer, "Hey, we're out of pork." He said, "I know what to do." And he says, "Y'all want to come along and see how we do this?" I had no idea what he was going to do. But he went out there to where the pigs were at. And he picked out one. And they led it on into the barn. And that's where Mr. Piggy came to the end of the road. And by lunchtime, there was ham, bacon, sausage on the table again. Doggone. Another one down. Then in the evenings, we'd all sit out on the front porch because they didn't have no TV. They had a radio that they would listen to. We'd all sit out on the front porch. They'd pass around the jar. It seems Uncle Homer also had a hobby. He didn't show us that hobby. I grew up here, and then when I finished high school and it was time to get hitched, I married a girl from the country. Little town, Hamden, Ohio. Your neighbors weren't on top of you, but you knew your neighbors. And they would watch out. If we were out of town, they would watch out. If they were out of town, we would watch out. You knew your neighbors, you talked to your neighbors, you hung out with your neighbors. Then I moved again out to Monroe Falls, which small town, not country, small town. And that's when things started to change. You knew who your neighbor was, but you never spoke, they never waved, they never talked, they never came over and hung out in the driveway when we were sitting outside. I like the small town part, but people just got too busy. Or something. They didn't take the time to get to know their neighbors. Now my dad's family, they're from West Virginia. They're from the big city called Witcher. Witcher don't have a post office. Witcher had a gas station, a cemetery. Nothing else. You had to go into Bell to do your grocery shopping. Go to the post office. Dirt road. Never maintained. But everybody knew everybody. Everybody waved. Everybody sits on a front porch. Nobody sits on a front porch. We got a front porch right over there. Nobody sits on it. Everybody sat on the front porch, car would drive up, and everybody had to wait. And somebody would say, well, who was that? And my grandfather would say, that's Jerry, he lives on up the holler. That's how you know you're in the country. You're living up a holler. You ain't living up the road or down the street. You're living up the holler. That's country. And that's the country I want to go back to when the time comes to vacate this premise. So Jeremy, I hope that satisfies your gall requirements. And if I should happen to win, I have enough stuff. I have an overabundance of stuff. I want you to send that on down to Old Pops down in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which used to be country, but that's a pretty big city now. When I went down to visit them, that city had grown since the last time I'd been down there. So there you go. Hope you're well. Hope you're safe. Every day's a school day. If you're not learning, you're being left behind. Go be kind. It's free. See y'all soon.